Hey guys, John and Jackie of OpenLove101.com, and if you listen to this episode, you're going to hear about our past sexual experiences and some of the ones we've cringed or regretted. Check us out. Hey everybody, John and Jackie of OpenLove101.com. Welcome to our show. Today's a very, very special show. We're going to talk about some of our sexual experiences in the lifestyle. The good and the bad. Ooh. How do we get started here?
Oh, you first.
Me first. First time in the lifestyle together. You know, we talked about this in some other videos about
We've talked about this in a lot of videos.
Yeah, well, people are interested in how other people get started in the lifestyle. And that's why we share these things, because everyone's story is a little bit different. When Jackie and I got together, we were living in separate states. And
Florida and Kansas.
Yeah, and so I owned swingers clubs at the time.
Mm-hmm. And you still do.
So it was easy for us to talk about the lifestyle because of that. And I have always been open-minded. I've had relationships that are consensually non-monogamous, and I've had some that were monogamous. And I really opened the conversation up with Jackie. You know, it was really up to her, but I shared about those experiences.
Right.
And we decided early on that we would delve into this, but more of an open relationship model since we were in different states. Mm-hmm. And if Jackie wanted to go on a date and have a play date, she could, and vice versa. And the only boundary really had set on that was to share about the experience afterwards with our partner. We didn't have to tell each other beforehand about it. We didn't have to ask permission. It was just go ahead and do it, right? Mm-hmm. And you had a couple. One, I remember you telling me, I was on the way to go paragliding. And with paragliding, you have to be very, very focused. I mean, you're flying up in the clouds with thermals, and it can be kind of intense sometimes. And on the way there, Jackie tells me that she ran into somebody, an old friend of hers, and they were going to go on a date. And in my mind goes, in excitement. I was so excited. I'm like, wow, I can't believe she's really going to do this. And I launched. It was in Florida, so we tow up behind a pickup truck there, and I launched, and I'm flying. And I could not quit thinking about what was going to be happening with her that night. And it really threw me for a loop. And it was probably the least fun paragliding I've had. And I just I can't even do this anymore. I went ahead and I landed and got back in the car and called Jackie again and want to talk to her more about that. So that's kind of how we got started in those types of, experiences.
Yeah, it's super weird when I think, I listen to you tell the story and I think back to those first few times when I went on a date with somebody else. I mean, it was so weird to be dating somebody, but then being told it was okay for me to go on a date. It's gosh, I couldn't even think one way or the other about it because it was just so weird to me. I didn't even know how to, this is so weird.
And I think it was weird for you because you dated in high school.
Yeah.
You went out with different guys.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But once you got married, you were married.
Yeah.
And then you got divorced, and then you were married.
Yes.
So you didn't really have a lot of experience with dating. And for me, I had been single a long time. And most of my life was dating. And there were times where I truly dated, and I was dating more than one person at one time. And it just seemed so normal to me. Now, I didn't share my experiences of my dates with my partner necessarily, unless I was in an open relationship where they wanted to hear about it. But normally, I just dated different people.
Well, I think that's what made it so different is, I did go on a lot of dates when I was in high school and some in college before I got married. But what I think was so weird about it is I was dating somebody while openly going on a date with somebody else. I think that's what was so different.
No, for sure.
you knew, this other person knew that this was all taking place. And that's what just seemed so weird. I just keep saying that word. But I had no reference for what was happening. And so I got to be kind of excited about it because of that. And, to go on a date and then talk to you afterwards, and you're like, well, did you have fun? And what'd you guys do? And, oh, I'm so glad that you got to go on the date. I was just like, this is so weird.
I'm like your girlfriend.
You were like a girlfriend. That's what it was like. And so the concept of that was like, gosh, I get to have like a girlfriend, but wrapped up in my boyfriend. It's like I get to talk about stuff with you that I'd never been able to talk about before with anybody. I mean, like the angle of relationship model that you threw at me was so conceptually different than anything I'd ever experienced. I couldn't even wrap my head around it, other than the fact that it was exciting because it was going counter to what I'd always been taught. Right? Like, this is going to collapse. It's going to just be chaotic and horrible. And you're just setting yourself up for failure. And John's going to leave you, or you're going to leave him. And, I really began to understand the concept of I could have this relationship with you and still have these other friendships. And it didn't have to affect our relationship from a negative standpoint. So that was really, really positive. Now it's not to say that in the 11 years that we've been together that I haven't had some experiences where I'm like, oh, well, I'm glad that's over. And I don't ever have to revisit that.
When we were living in different states and we were playing like that, we'd been together a little while. I mean, there was times, some of my dates, we were together probably a month, 6 weeks, 2 months. Did you have fear of losing me at that point?
No, but I think that has to do with the fact that we were so early in that relationship. I mean, I don't want to say that I didn't have much invested, but I didn't. I mean, when you think about it, if it was 2 months, it's 60 days with you. There wasn't... like if it didn't work out, I would be sad, but not like if it didn't work out today after 11 years, I would be, I'd be a hot mess. And so I think that even makes our relationship even more poignant, is the more invested that you are with the person and you're still able to have this kind of openness and honesty with each other, just really shows the beauty of the relationship and the growth of it, and how you can be super invested in a relationship and still have that same kind of spontaneity that we had at the very beginning. And I think that's really interesting. We talk a lot about when we travel and we try to pick out swingers, in the airport or whatever. And we usually can. And usually part of that is these couples are so into each other.
All right.
So there's that, which is that kind of that element of dating. They almost look like they're dating.
That's a good point. We do look like that sometimes, and they do as well.
Right.
And there's something to that because, we're so close. And that's what enables some of the things that we do, that we're able to do those things and be together still. Yeah. Whereas you have couples that are maybe drifting apart, and if that were to happen, that's when the breakups happen.
Right.
Because they're so already looking, they're unhappy anyway.
Right.
And in our relationship, we've never been unhappy to where we'd be in fear of losing each other.
And that's not why we're playing with other people, because we're unhappy.
No.
It's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're not looking to fill something that's empty. We're just looking for something different, something. So, yeah, it's interesting. Now, some of my experiences, I can look back on and think, oh, there was a missed boundary opportunity that I had, that I could have spoken up. I could have been a better advocate for myself. Maybe being asked if I liked something, and instead of, saying no, I was just like, like, oh my gosh, I don't, so I've learned how to be an advocate for myself. I've learned how to speak up, which to me, that's been a great asset of being in the lifestyle as well. Because you cannot be in this and be passive. Not if you really want to take this all the way, to the end game.
And there have been a handful of men you've been with, and you tell me what happened, and I'm like, what? They did what? Like, it just kind of like blows my mind. And things that I never really even thought of doing. I'm like, they didn't ask you first? No, they just did it. And they said, do you like that? Do you like that? I'm like,
no.
But you didn't say no a couple times.
No, I remember one time that we played separate. And afterwards I came to him, I'm like, I need you in the room next time.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure how to handle that.
And that was early on. I remember that
Very
specific
early
instance. And I was just across the hall.
Yeah, it's not like you were even far away.
No. And you're like, why didn't you come in there? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I thought I'd give you time to play alone with the guy.
I don't want to play alone.
Not anymore. You have to check on me. And I'm like, okay. That was a learning experience for both of us.
That was a learning experience for both of us. Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I've had any cringe moments myself to where I was like, oh yeah, I have. I don't know. They're hard to talk about. I don't want to throw anybody in.
Yeah, because this is the thing. It's something I didn't like. I'm not saying that other people wouldn't like it.
That's right. Yeah.
This is just my boundary or my moment
and
of
for me, I guess a couple times they've been people that I've hooked up with from one of the adult social sites, and maybe they weren't completely honest with their pictures.
Yes.
And they arrive, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't exactly what I was looking for, and it just wasn't, the person wasn't doing anything for me. I mean, there's other people out there that may be completely attracted to them, but
right.
And so I remember one time it happened. We were living in Dallas.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
I think you were in the apartment with me, and I was in the bedroom, and
yeah.
And I finally said, this just is not working for me.
Right.
Let's just call it a night. And it's hard to do that sometimes.
It is.
Because you don't want to hurt anyone's. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Right.
But sometimes it just comes down to like if there's truly a connection there or not, and the connection can be about, more of how they look. We may have a body style or a hairstyle or something about people that we like. Mm-hmm. And maybe this person doesn't have that, or so it's not something that really gets you going. And so you don't want to say, yeah, I don't really like this, because then you're hurting. You're talking about them as a person. I don't want to take that away from them, because there's plenty of people out there that will appreciate them for who they are.
Right.
But sometimes you have to say no. It's not my thing. I'm just not. And the easy way for me to do is just say, yeah, I'm just not feeling a connection here tonight. Let's just call it a night.
Right.
So my cringe moments have been that.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything that's happened. Recently I was with somebody, and she was into like scratching, and I felt like it was getting, because I didn't say no initially, I felt like it was getting deeper and deeper. And I finally said, yeah, I'm not really into scratching or having my nipples twisted. Those aren't going to do anything for me. And she's like, really? You don't like that? I'm like, yeah, not really my, I don't really like it. I'm like, please don't leave any marks.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
no. Well, and, so here's the thing, I've had some experiences with people that this is what they do with their partner.
That's
right?
true, yes.
So this is what works with their partner. And we're all guilty of this. We have that assumption that it's going to work on our play partner. And that's not necessarily the case. So it's not anything somebody's doing on purpose, but it's just like, I'm a different person, and this doesn't work for me, but let me show you what does.
Yeah.
So that's how you can take a situation that maybe doesn't seem like it's going to be the best, and it becomes an opportunity for you to show them.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, and as far as regret, I don't regret any of them, because I either came away, being thoroughly satisfied and having a great evening, and it ended up becoming a topic of conversation for you and I for a long time. Mm-hmm. Or I learned something. I either learned something about myself, I learned more about what I like or what I don't like, mm-hmm. and the importance of me being able to say my piece, and how to confront those situations in a way that's still kind and loving.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I mean, I've learned the same things in my relationship. The sexual relationships, or even hanging out or dates I've had with other people too.
Right.
It's just I don't regret any of them.
Yeah.
Some people I've come across in life, dating is about finding out about people and whether you can relate to them or not. And really, in a swinging relationship or open lifestyle, that's what you're doing. You're really dating. You're dating other single people or couples, mm-hmm. and it's about learning about them and if you guys connect in a certain way.
Right.
And maybe you don't connect in a sexual way, but there's just great conversations I've had. So, I can look back and say, I wish there would have been more there sexually, but we had developed this relationship that's more about conversation and talking. Yes. And that's been a great thing. And, something that came to mind when I'm looking back at my experiences, I had this experience one time. There was a time I used to play in my clubs, and these girls came in. I gave them a tour, and they pushed me on the bed and took advantage of me.
You poor thing. You poor thing.
And I ended up dating one of those girls
yeah.
for quite a while.
Yeah.
And her and I are still
yes.
really good friends.
Yes.
And you know her.
Oh yeah.
And it's before I dated her before you and I met.
Yeah.
And
she's a sweetheart.
And I hung out with her after you and I met.
Yeah.
And now she's married, but we're still just
super
really
close.
Good friends. And
yeah.
I think.
And I love that.
I love that about our relationship.
Right.
Probably one of the things. It has nothing to do necessarily with swinging. It has to do with trust.
Yeah.
And the fact that I don't have to ever worry about being on the phone with her. And
right.
you being worried or jealous about it or getting upset about it.
Right.
And I've been in relationships where that would happen
right.
with an old friend. And it really, really means a lot to me that our relationship is like that.
Yeah.
So you can check out more of our experiences on other podcasts.
Videos.
Here on the YouTube channel or our podcast channels.
Yes.
And if we have any new ones coming up, you can find out about those by signing up to our email list on openlove101.com. And if you want more than just that, you can join Open Love 101 Plus and learn more about us, including our coffee time with John and Jackie, which is 7 o'clock every Tuesday morning. No, 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock?
10 o'clock every Tuesday morning. Where we just...
And that's Central Time.
Yeah, Central Time, yeah. And we just let it loose there. And
yep.
we answer questions. You're welcome to join us live, and it's just a great time.
Yeah,
so be sure and check those things out, and keep coming back. See ya. Hey, baby, did you like those videos? No? If you did, subscribe below, and you'll see plenty more. Yeah.